short for House of Fluid Reflections, and this is our new segment, HFR Connect, where we connect with members of our community and members that we are interested in getting to know more about, who are wonderful human beings and creative artists in their own right. And today we have a very special guest. We have Saphera Peters, who is a multidisciplinary artist. She's exploring all different realms of her creativity in so many different mediums. It's been such a joy to get to watch her journey. And I'm super excited. She is not only in the Web 2, but the Web 3 space, and has gotten to do a whole lot of in-person stuff with her art recently. And before I get too much farther ahead of myself, Saf, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Yanni, and thank you, Shaw. I'm happy to be here. You guys have been so supportive in my journey on TikTok and Twitter, so I just love to be able to be in your world and talking to you guys. It's always a pleasure. But yeah, I guess you did an amazing job at introing me, so thank you for that.
Yes, of course. You're welcome.
Yeah, that was beautiful. I mean, yeah, I'm Saf. I go by Saf. My name's Saphera Peters from Toronto, or like a suburb outside of Toronto in Canada. And yeah, I'm an artist.
You are an artist in many different ways. I see. I was looking at the sneakers on your website, for example. I saw a bunch of different art, but you mentioned, you said thank you for supporting you on TikTok and Twitter. But I think our relationship started because you came in support of Yanni initially, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we connected via the all of us having our toes wet in the Web3 space of oh, you're thinking about doing it, I'm thinking about doing it. None of us know what we're doing, but we're just we're figuring it out. So yeah, it was sort of a mutual connection via Twitter at the beginning. I think we were part of several different POC women groups that were starting centered around the Web3 space.
Yeah.
That seems like ages ago, doesn't it? And that was probably only last year. It feels like years ago.
Right? Yeah.
It was probably about a year ago to the month almost, I guess, right?
Yeah, I think it was March, April of last year. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yes.
Well, we thank you for reaching out and for connecting with Yanni and welcoming her with such warm arms. I mean, she spoke so highly of you, and she really raved about you so much early on, because you were you were probably one of the biggest supporters in the ways that you tried to support, or in the ways that you did support. Honestly, I remember you started a DM group. You were just really about community back then, before it was popular to be talking about community on social media, and we really do appreciate that. And it's been important for us to make sure that we found a way to reconnect with you and really get to know more about you and your story. As you know, we've been learning from afar for so long. This has been something that's been a long time coming. We've really been eager to get to know you, the person. So thank you for coming out and hanging out with us today.
That's so kind. Thank you for saying that.
You're so welcome. So one of our favorite questions to start off with is, who are you? Who is Saf the person?
Starting with a deep question.
Put on the spot right off the break.
Yeah, you probably saw my face. I was like, that's I love that question, because it's interesting, because I can take it in whichever way I want to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, who am I? I would say Sap as a person is a creative being. I love to create. It doesn't matter in what shape, form, or in medium. I like to create connections. I like to create events. I like to create art. I like to create joy and happiness and inspiration in people. So I think overall, over the spectrum, over the board, I would just say I'm a creative and I love to create.
I love that. I love that. I think that's probably the most succinct and profound and beautiful answer we've gotten, because usually people just kind of list what they do, but you really took it through who I am and why this is who I am. And I love that. And all of the realms, I wasn't even ready for you saying I like to create connections and I like to create event. You really took it in depth. I think this is probably to date one of my favorite answers to the who am I question. I love that.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, wow, that's actually the best answer I've heard to this question so far.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no.
Show off a stunt for a minute. Go ahead.
So official. I love that.
I think we're so much more than our jobs and what we do. We're human beings and we're multifaceted. So that's kind of how I took it. So yeah, I don't know.
That's the point of the question.
And that's the point of the question, because usually the first 20 minutes of the conversation is walking whoever we're featuring through like the human aspect of it and explaining that part, how like we get so caught up in just our jobs and the titles that we're like given that we don't even have an idea for ourselves about who we intrinsically are as the being, as the person, not just what has been labeled, sticky note labeled onto us from various different places. So I love how that just sort of came out of you just so naturally. Like it was, I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But as a creative, has this been something that just like your whole life, it's been a part of you, or you've known your whole life, or are there specific moments where you remember like creativity in the arts, like jumping out at you and you being like, oh, this is it?
Yeah, I would say, and it's so interesting because as you're asking me this question, it reflects to the way I answered what I just answered. But I would say I've always been a creative person, but I haven't been into the physical like art, like what I'm doing now, until 2019. So it's
Wow.
interesting. Yeah. So before this, like growing up, I used to write a lot. So I would like not only journal, but I would just like as a kid create random stories and just like write songs, believe it or not. Like I wanted to be a singer. Don't ask me to sing because I can't. But that was like my dream. But like it just like this process of creating stuff that I just comes into my mind. And like I even found some of my old journals in a move that my parents were doing from their old house into a newer house. And so I found some of my old notebooks from when I was a kid. It was actually like and just story writing. And at one point I remember trying to type up a story on the computer when I started learning how to type as a kid. So yeah, I don't know, I've always wanted to create things, and then that transformed into photography. I don't know if I shared this with you, Jan, but I photography before digital arts, and so I have a sweet spot for photography and photographers, probably why we connected. And yeah, and so that was like yeah, I was into photography for many years, and then that transitioned into digital art later on. So I don't know, I feel like creativity has always been part of me. I'm a Pisces, and creativity is like part of who we are. And yeah.
I love that. And I just heard and saw so much of myself in what you said, like not only the photography, but writing short stories as a kid. I too recently at my mom's house, like packing stuff up from the basement, like found old journals, old books. And I'm just like, wow, this really has been like a forever thing. Like this has just been a part. So I love how you got to kind of like walk back down that memory lane and realizing that like, okay, I didn't go full throttle till 2019, but like this has been a part of it. And I'm cracking up at, don't ask me to sing because I can't, but I used to songwrite. Songwriting is a real thing, though. You don't got to be able to sing a lick. If you can write a melody, if you got some good hooks, some verses, hey, songwriting is songwriting, period.
Yeah, that's
Um,
facts.
yeah, but I love that. That's so beautiful. And so was there a moment in 2019 that brought you in, or something that pushed you into like, this is where you're supposed to be? Was like, there's something that happened, or did you just pick up an art piece again and like, it was just like, ooh, this feels right? Or how did it happen in 2019?
Yeah, for sure. So, like I said, I wanted to be a photographer, right? So, when I was in university, that was like my end goal. And the program that I went to, like, I wanted to go to like an artsy school, but my dad, like, having strict brown parents, was like, no, you need some kind of like stability. I went to was like a kind of a mesh of business and digital media. So it was cool because you got the business side of things, but you also got to be creative. So I learned a lot. And in that process, I was like, okay, if I want to be a photographer when I come out of this, I need to learn a storyboard and like be able to use if I want to work on big projects, you know? And so I took my student loan and I bought an iPad and I was like, hey, I'm going to learn how to draw because I need to know how to draw. And I did draw stick figures. It was terrible. And I went on a project where every day for 365 days, I drew one piece of art on my iPad. And I made I made an Instagram account just for this, and that kept me maybe had like 100 followers, like nothing. But I built that up from the ground, which was pretty cool. But it was just like 100 followers. But just knowing that those 100 people were watching me, they probably didn't even care about me. But just knowing that, you know, I was being accountable, that they were watching me, that held me accountable to do the project. And yeah, long story short, during that process, I just fell in love with creating art, and that's when I actually started painting sneakers. Like Shaw, I know you mentioned that earlier. That came out of this digital illustration process. So I was like, I can create so much on my iPad. I want to take this physical. I love sneakers. I love fashion. So I brought it to sneakers and jackets. And I don't know, I feel like my whole world expanded and exploded because I'm like, whoa, I can just like use my hands to create something like on my iPad in a matter of hours. It was insane. And yeah, that's kind of how that started for me.
I'm bowled over by the fact that you said you couldn't even draw stick figures. And in
Yeah.
like under 4 years, you draw immaculate illustrations. Like your stickers are amazing and your sneaker work. I'm just like, I wish. Like it is so incredible, so beautiful. And I love how your style seems to kind of translate through each of your mediums as well. Like I love that I can see a piece online and be like, I didn't even have to see the ad. I know that's Saf's work. Like I know
Yeah.
Saf did
Yep.
that.
Yep. Definitely that.
Like I
That
love that.
means a
Go.
lot. It's like as an artist, that's like you've made it when people can recognize your work without knowing it's you.
Yes. And I would say you have. I mean, seeing all the different ways you've gotten involved, not only with community, but with different events that I've seen you participate in, different publications that you've been featured in. Like, how has that experience been from going from 2019 Can't Draw Stick Figures to now 2023? You've been featured in publications, you were at Art Basel. Like, how has that transition been for you?
It's been interesting. Like, it's very, very interesting because I think when you're so in this, like, I have my end goal of wanting to be that's my end goal is to be an artist. So it's easy to get caught up in like the end goal and forgetting about these little accomplishments. So even you saying that right now, like, how does it feel to be featured? I'm just like, how does it feel? Like, I don't think I have to like remind myself to take a step back and acknowledge where I started versus where I am now. It's like surreal to even think about it because I never thought that I would even be doing art full time. Like I didn't even want to be an artist. Like I said, I couldn't even draw. So
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy. But I think the important thing that I have been learning is to just take a step back. And when I feel overwhelmed, is just reminding myself what my end goal is. And the pressure that you may feel on the outside is pressure that I'm putting on myself, really and truly. Like no one's telling me, yo, you got to edit your YouTube video and put it out by 5 p.m. today. No one's telling me that. That's me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I give my grace project I do, and I'm trying more to celebrate each accomplishment because I feel like it's easy to finish something, tick it off the box, and be like, great, what's next? You know, so that's like a flaw that I've noticed. We all do it. I do it a lot. So I'm trying to just like wins, no matter how big or small they are. And yeah, celebrating can be something so small, like maybe watching Netflix or like going to the dog park with my dog or going out to a nice dinner. It doesn't have to be like a big thing for me. So yeah.
I love that. That's so beautiful. It sounded like you were going to say something.
I was excited about a bunch of things. The sneakers. I was excited about the dog. I mean, you just saw Zen pop up and do his little cameo as usual. I just saw your dog this morning for the first time on TikTok. What's your dog's name?
Her name is Raya. She's a Shiba Inu. Normally she's in my room, but she's hanging out in the sun downstairs right now.
Really? You said she's a Shiba Inu?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. That's like the Web3 dog almost now, right?
I know. I might have started in 2020, 2021. 2021. I think I might have subconsciously purchased her as
Yeah. You're for it, right? But no, I mean your sneakers was so dope though. I was so impressed by the different designs. Those Sailor Moons actually just got me. Those were
and that's a childhood favorite for me. Like Sailor Moon. Like I still have VHS tapes of like Sailor Moon at my mom's house. Like
jealous. Wow. I am so jealous. I loved Sailor Moon too. It was like my favorite.
Yeah.
Those and the Blue Storms. I love those. I'm a Nike Air fan. I've been wearing Airs since forever. But the way you buttered these up, man, I'm in love with them. And you've got a bunch of others. Like the way you broke up the Nike symbol on the Cotton Candy Dreams was crazy. And the other ones where you took the symbol off and you put it back on backwards. I forgot what it was called. Double something. Double take.
Yeah.
You had a bunch of different ones on there that just really blew my mind. Do you do a lot of that still today?
Well, first of all, thank you. That's really kind. And no, I haven't done them recently. I think ever since I transitioned into Web3, I've been focused more on digital. But that's not to say I wouldn't do it. Like sometimes people come to me like, "Hey, can you paint a sneaker?" And if they're like friends or family, I've definitely done them. The last one I think I probably did was last September, so
Wow.
not that long ago.
Okay.
Yeah, but I actually transitioned into doing bags. So I actually did a Telfar. It's not on my website. I need to update my
I saw it
website.
on your TikTok. I was like, yes. And how you walked through like how you were nervous about it and
Hmm.
hesitant about like, do I do it? Do I not do it? Like I'm sort of in a similar place. Like I've decided that I'm taking on sewing, but I also want to incorporate painting into it with like some of inspiration from some of my actual canvas paintings. But I'm just like, I cannot put the paintbrush on this yet because I am terrified that I will screw it up. So yeah, like how was that process for you? Because seeing you talk through it on TikTok was like, I relate to this artist anxiety so much.
I will tell you honestly, you can't overthink it. Like that anxiety, you just have to do it. And like if I kept overthinking it, I probably still wouldn't have had the bag done. Like I probably would still be thinking about it, knowing me. You
Mm-hmm.
honestly just have to do it and not even think about it. That's what helped me. The process was really cool. Like nervous because it's a tall bar, and I'm like, if I mess this up, like one, I'm gonna lose all the money that I paid for it, but also like, I'll feel bad about it too. Like I don't want to like. I was like, regardless if it messes, I'll still rock it. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I painted it. It was really fun, and I painted like the smaller one, like how they have the
Mm-hmm.
mini one. So it actually didn't take that long, which I was surprised by. And yeah, I ended up just posting it on Instagram, TikTok, like you said. Actually, Debbie Soon from The Hug reached out to me,
Mm-hmm.
and she purchased it as a birthday gift for Randy Zuckerberg. So
I
Yeah,
saw
I
that. That
saw
was
that
so
and I was
dope.
like, how was that? How did you respond? Like, what were the emotions when you got that? Like,
it was so crazy. Like, well, first of all, like I had no expectation that anyone was gonna buy this. I was just posting this because portfolio work, content. I just wanted to put more content out. So I was like, honestly, if this doesn't go out, it's fine. I'll keep it. I love it anyways. So expectation. So already just her messaging me to buy it was like I was over the moon because it was so random. Like she literally responded and she was like, "Oh, this is awesome. You should do more of these." And I was like, "Yeah, I would love to do more of these, but I just like make sure like I can make money off of it." And she's like, "I would love to buy it for Randy's birthday." And I was like,
Wow.
"Okay." It was like mind blowing. I've definitely met Randy before. She's very down to earth, humble, great human being. Connected with her a lot, so I love her. But it's crazy that like someone so influential has a piece of my work now, if that makes
Yeah,
sense. Like
it
that's the
does.
part.
yeah.
That's the part that's kind of like mind blowing to me.
Yeah. Is that like gas in the tank for you? Does that motivate you and push you to keep going harder, or is it just kind of like, okay, I got that, and you don't give too much credence to that? I mean, I know some people like I don't want to pay too much attention to my accomplishments because they'll hinder me in some way. How do they work for you?
Yeah, I think it does give me gas in the tank for sure. Because right after that, I actually purchased another Telfar, and believe it or not, it's still in the packaging. I haven't opened it yet. But like, it did give me gas in the tank in the sense of like keep doing this because you don't know where it's gonna go. There is a small voice in the back of your head, like, "How are you this? Oh, what a cutie."
Mhm.
Thank you.
He
Yes,
always has to make his
he's such a
debut.
camera hound. Can you get down
He's
there?
like, "I'm gonna be part of it too."
He only does it when I'm on camera. He doesn't do it when we're just
When we're
down
just
here
sitting
working.
around working, he
Come
doesn't
on.
do it. But as soon as he knows like record has been pressed, he is like,
Yes.
showtime.
Can you make some room for me? Can I get back
He's
up
like, "I
there?
want
And what?
So you mentioned
Thank you, bud.
TikTok and Instagram. I know you've recently got into YouTube. I know you mentioned a tidbit of that earlier, but how has that journey and transition into expanding into the YouTube space been for you, and how are you feeling about it?
It's exciting. It's interesting. This is actually my third YouTube channel, believe it or not. but it's my first time doing alone. So like in the past, I did it with friends. So the first one, I was in like the 5th grade, and me and my friends were just making like silly videos. I don't even want to say what they. We're gonna move on. Then the second time is me and my ride or die sister. We made videos on like just we were making like a best friend channel. So we are just making fun like clothing haul, sneaker collection, like that kind of stuff. And then we just ended up going to different universities, so it was kind of hard, and so we just like kind of shut it down. So this is the first time I'm doing a channel just by myself, but it's cool. I'm familiar with YouTube. It's been a while, but I almost feel like third time's a charm, and just being able to do it by myself, I feel super empowered. It's good and bad. Like YouTube's a great platform, and you can make content that will, like, unlike TikTok and stuff where it's like your video is only going to be shown for like 3 days and then on to the next. Whereas YouTube, it's pretty much evergreen content, which I really like. Like people can make content from 5 years ago and you can still be watching and it can still be relevant, right? So I really like that about YouTube, and that's kind of why I wanted to grow in that area, is just being able to grow my audience, but also help people more importantly, because I might be going off on a tangent, but I read something and it was like, you don't have to know everything, but as long as you can help the person who's 3 steps behind you, like you don't know how much you can help them pretty much. So that's kind of like the perspective I'm taking with my YouTube, is just like, obviously I'm not the biggest artist in the world or the most knowledgeable. I'm still learning and growing, and I hope that I always am learning and growing. But what I do know is enough to help somebody who's maybe 3 steps behind me. And that's kind of why I made YouTube, was to show my journey, but also help others. And I don't know, I like it. It's fun. So far, it's been a lot of fun just being able to sit and talk to a camera and make longer form content.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way. And I love how you said it's one of your goals with it is to help pull up the next person who may be 3 steps behind you. Because indeed, I think that's when you're still in the learning process, I think that's one of the greatest places where we can help another, because it's not so far away from memory to be able to share, like, this is what it's like. So sharing it in real time, I think, is incredibly fruitful and helpful, because you ask a lot of people who've, like, quote unquote made it, and it's like, yeah, how'd you start? What were your most troublesome, like, stepping stones? And it's hard to memory recall, but the fact that you're sharing right now in the process, it's like, what those hiccups were, those sticky bits that you're able to help somebody through. You're able to share the real time, like, before you got on, we watched your latest one about, you being in the mall now, and how like your blade went out while you were doing your stickers, and just like the troubleshooting things that a lot of people wouldn't necessarily know about, understand, or think to share. Like the fact that you're sharing that, I think it also normalizes like what it's like to be a startup artist and doing the entrepreneurial thing on your own. I think it's wonderful that you're sharing all the ins and outs, because I think it humanizes you as a person and not just a creator. And I think that's a wonderful thing.
Aw, thank you. Yeah, I'm glad that's reassuring to hear, because I know when I was editing it, I'm like, is this even relevant, sharing about my blade? And at that point, I was so tired of editing, I'm just like, I'm just going to leave it in.
I think it is relevant, because it literally watching that made me think of, I just did a art show in Philadelphia, and
Oh, congrats.
thank you. My prep process, like I was like, wow, I could have filmed that, because it made me think of your prep process. Like one of the frames that I had for my prints, like it turned out, we didn't notice at the store, but one of the frames was broken, and so we had to, like, the day before the show, like run out and go get another frame because the frame was broken. And then we had to troubleshoot with my printer, because my printer was printing prints with lines through it. So seeing you walk through that, like, it made me feel like, oh yeah, like someone else who gets it, someone else who's going through it. And it also makes you not feel crazy, because sometimes it's like, wow, is this a sign? Do I just suck? Should I just quit? Like, is that what this is? So seeing your video, it definitely made me feel like, oh, someone who gets it. And like, she kept going. I feel like I can keep going. So I don't think it was too much to include your blade and everything, because I think that really shows the human aspect, and it takes away what I think some social media, the influencer syndrome, has given, which is like everything's perfect, everything goes right. Like it really gives some authenticity and relatability to you and your art, because it's like we see the immaculate Saphera Peter's art, and it's like, oh shit, like that is so amazing. But then seeing the real person behind it, it's like, wow, and she's down to earth and she makes amazing art. Like that's somebody I'd want to know in person and have community with, but also that's an artist I want to support because like I see myself not only in her art, but I see myself in her. So if I can just affirm that for you, I think it's wonderful. I love how your YouTube's going.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot. I definitely agree with you on the whole influencer thing. Like everybody makes things out to be so perfect. And I actually think TikTok is changing that now. I think a lot of the old YouTubers and influencers created this life that we aspire to have. But now these influencers are making more authentic content on TikTok and it's more relatable. And I'm finding myself wanting to watch their videos more than like, you know, these older influencers who that part of them. So yeah, you saying that just made me think that I actually also have this same mindset. So thanks.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And I love seeing that because it translates wonderfully. And like for the times when I feel like giving up on my art, like seeing someone like you sharing their genuine sides of things too, it reminds me like, oh yeah, we're all in this together. And there really is something to like, hi, Baba.
He's like,
There really is something to, you know, the real human sides, showing the real human sides of real life and what happens in real life. Like everything isn't perfect. Like Zen deciding to give his cameos and shout out, have his vocal range shared in real time.
Yeah. But no, the human side of what I mean, all of your posting, you've been very human in all of your posting, and I think that's one thing that's always made me feel like, okay, she's somebody we need to stay in contact with or stay in touch with because the humanity is there. There's you don't see the theatrics. I mean, it's just genuinely great camera work and great content, but at the same time, a very natural human conversation. It's like talking to a friend.
Yeah.
And that I think that's important. That was a big thing during the pandemic, I think, for a lot of people. And I think for both of us, we found creators on YouTube specifically that we really connected with and people who became like friends of ours just through sitting and watching their videos on a regular basis. It would be like they were in the room because you'd put their videos on and your videos remind me of those best friend videos where you just put somebody on and just kind of let them play with you play in the background while you're doing whatever you do to keep you company. So I think you're going to be very successful on YouTube.
Oh, that means so much. I definitely have YouTubers that I watch for that exact reason. So
really?
It means a lot. Yeah, it means a lot that, you know, you're kind of placing me in that category like that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Flowers, all your flowers.
Absolutely.
But touching on staying in that pocket of like humanity and your interpersonal connection that you sort of share through your content, I wanted to talk to you about, because you mentioned it about being a brown girl. What is it like being a brown girl, having brown parents, and being in the art space? Because I know as a Black person with parents, it can be a very interesting experience. So how was that for you, like after university and transitioning into full-time career as an artist? How has that been as a brown girl and that relationship with your brown parents?
I love that. And it's interesting because there's the parent aspect of it, but there's also the aunties and the uncles and the cousins. Everyone has a say and an opinion on this. So I love this question. So I think for me growing up, my parents like always put it in our minds: doctor, teacher, lawyer, engineer. Those are your 4 options. Those are your 4 options. And so my parents, like I said, because I was always creative, they always saw that side of me. They just didn't think it was going to be a career. They just thought it was my exploration. So when I wanted to go to university, like I said, my dad wanted me to have that business aspect of things. I think that like they supported me, but they wouldn't outwardly, like it got to a point where they trusted me in what I was doing. So they were like, okay, do what you want to do, but make sure you have security in the back for your job. So after I graduated, I got a job in marketing at the university that I went to, which was like a huge thing. We were so happy about it. You know, they bragged about it. It's like a lot of immigrant parents do. They brag about you to all the family, like, oh yeah, she works at blah. So like, you know, I was made to feel like, oh, I guess this is like where I need to stay. Like, I guess this is like a big, huge deal. Like this is, you know. So when I quit that job to do art full time, I was kind of scared of what they would think. And I didn't like ask them. I kind of just did it and kind of had a lot to say, which I'm grateful for, because like you don't want to hear that negativity. I could tell like they were kind of like, why? Like get another job. Like they're like, oh, but you should get another job before you quit. And I was like, no, I'm not trying to get another job. Like I want to work for myself. And they didn't understand it at the time. They were like, why would you do that? That makes no sense. I mean, luckily they let me move back home. So like I'm here with them now again after I quit. So they were supportive in that end. But it's like, even though like they stopped outwardly saying stuff, you still feel the pressure, like being in a household with brown parents, like knowing that like this is all the teachings they've taught you growing up. Like I know the pressure is still there to be a certain way and a certain person. And only now, like my dad seeing the certain successes I've had, such as like the bag sold to Randy, like that was like, he's starting to see like all that is possible through art. And so, you know, now they're being more open to it. But there's definitely still doubts on days like I can just feel it and see it. And maybe it's just me, like just how I was conditioned growing up. I'm putting that pressure on myself. Who knows? But that comes with being a brown girl, you know? You just have this pressure, whether it's said or not. And then, yeah, I feel like the things with the aunties and uncles, like, it's so awkward, just like, because they heard like I was working at a university. That's what my parents told them. So now when they just like ask, oh, what are you up to? Like, I feel like I've been avoiding going to like any family function on purpose because what do I say? I'm an artist. Oh, you're an artist? Like, what do you like? You know, they yeah, so I know now my parents just tell them, oh, you know, she has her own business, and they just leave it at that because it's still like this like judgmental thing that you get from family, which I don't know. I have mixed feelings about, but that's kind of like one of those things you kind of just have to live with. So I don't know. It's a struggle, but I feel like for me, just being in tune and knowing my end goal and trusting my vision, because as much as people want to come in and talk the talk and like just like talk about what you're doing, you're the only person who can see your end vision and knows your end goal. So you kind of just have to like tune out that noise and just focus on the path that you're in. And then once you get there, they'll open their eyes and see what you've been talking about this whole time.
Wow, you were so good at buttoning up these questions. Every question I had while you were going, you answered in the process of going through that. That was incredible.
Sorry.
No, don't
Like, yeah,
apologize at all. That was just really incredible how thorough you were at that. I was going to ask you about how you were able to, you know, kind of motivate yourself and get yourself to stick through it. But I mean, you really covered that. That's incredible. Coming from marketing though, so you took the marketing job, and I remember that you were actually at that job when
Yeah,
you and Yanni met
on our first call. Yeah,
Yeah.
you were still working there.
And she said, yeah, she's leaving her job and she's going to do the art thing full time. So we both kind of buckled up and just kind of sat in the seats to kind of watch and enjoy the ride. This has really been exciting seeing what's been going on for you since that time. You're probably the only story like that I've seen in the past year where I've really watched it be what I consider to be a success story and an inspirational story. So I hope you get a chance to share your story more and more with people younger than you and people I guess people older too, because I'm inspired as well, right?
Aw, thank you. And thank you for giving me a platform to do so. Like just being part of HFR and connecting with you guys and sharing it on your pod. Thank you.
And before we go, one of the main questions I really wanted to hone in on, because that's one of the ways that I felt touched by you in the beginning, was how huge your heart was for people and for community. I wanted to know if there's anything you wanted to touch on specifically in regards to community via Web3 or community via IRL, because I also know you have a whole lot that's been happening in person, like Art Basel, NFT NYC, and now having your art in a store. Like, what has community meant to you, and why is community such a foundation for you? If you feel open to sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for asking this. Yeah, I think when I first started Web3, I really wanted to create a community for women of color because I didn't see a space like that where it was like comfortable, and just I didn't see spaces like that. So that's probably how we connected in the beginning, I believe. But moreover, like, I don't know. I love connecting with people, and working for yourself gets lonely. So maybe I'm doing it selfishly because I want to meet people. Who knows? Like, I don't know. So it gets lonely. So I've been doing like a lot of community engagement, like outside of Web3. I've been doing a lot of stuff locally. So like I said, I moved back in with my parents, which is the city that I grew up in. It's called Brampton. It's outside of Toronto, and I've been integrating myself into a lot of the arts and creative communities, and with a lot of like artists who make music. I don't like to call them musician. I know they also like to go by artists. So like artists who make music, I've just been in their circles a lot. I feel like there's so much to learn from them. But one thing that I am working on right now is I'm working with the Brampton Library, and we're actually curating a gallery. Well, I'm curating a gallery with their support for South Asian Heritage Month, because in Brampton, thank you. Yeah, in Brampton, there's a huge South Asian population, and kind of like what we were talking about before, art isn't something that's encouraged in our culture. And so I really, for South Asian Heritage Month, I wanted to cultivate that, especially because Indian culture and South Asian culture is so colorful and artistic, from like clothing to like the Holi and Diwali celebrations to like henna. Like everything is artistic and colorful, but then we're told like you can't do this as a career, like sorry, and it makes I don't know, there's like a huge disconnect. And so I really wanted to celebrate South Asian artists who are in Brampton. And so yeah, the gallery is going to be held at the library. Like they've been so supportive of like making this come to fruition, and I've curated 25 artists, and so we're working together. Thank you. Yeah, it's so exciting. Yeah, it's going to be up for the whole month of May, and there's going to be like a fun opening night where there's going to be food and music, and the artists will be there, and like people are invited to come and like meet the artists. That's going to be on May 13th. So yeah, that's kind of like a huge thing that I'm working on right now.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Wow, that is a big deal. So when it comes to just, you're coming out of Web3, and I guess you really got your anchors really set in the Web3, and now you're focusing heavily on the IRL community. Do you have some tips or tricks for how you go about building IRL when it comes to community? I know a lot of people struggle getting back into IRL communications and IRL flows. Have you had any challenges? Do you have any tips?
Yeah, at first it was difficult for me as well. Like a lot of these things I went to alone. Because I didn't really have people to go with, but like you kind of just have to push yourself out of your comfort zone. Like that's one thing. If you're not pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, you're not growing as a person. And so for me, I've just pushed myself to go out to a lot of these artist events. Like we recently have an arts organization that just came out over the past couple years, and so they had been throwing a lot of different artist talks and like just like different artist opportunities. And so I just got really involved with them. Like I submitted my work. I just kind of kept showing up. I was that annoying person that kept showing up to these events to just show my face. And then I eventually started talking to the organizers and, the people there, and connecting with other artists. And take it slowly and be gentle with yourself, because I remember the first couple events, like I think I just went and didn't talk to anybody and left. Like, because it's intimidating. Like people are there with their friends, you're there alone. It's like, it's hard to just go up to people and say hi. I'm even stuttering thinking about it. So like not a fun time, but that's okay. I think the first couple times, just like go out, and the first couple times just walk around. You don't even have to say hi to anybody, just be there. And then eventually you'll start getting comfortable enough to go up to somebody and talk to someone, because maybe it's someone that you've seen over and over again. So like for me, one of the organizers, like I had kept seeing her, and so finally like I talked to her, and later on, like a couple months later, I actually pitched the gallery idea to her, and she's the one who connected me with the Brampton Library to make this happen. So like if I hadn't gone out to these events and connected with her, this whole gallery wouldn't even be happening, right? So you never know who you're gonna meet and what's gonna come out of it. But I would say in real life is so important. Like Web3 is the future, but like 100%. But there's also so many people who aren't in Web3 that are doing some amazing things that you don't even know what will come out of it. And I think we're still at the point where Web3 is growing. So until then, like I like to have one foot in Web3, but also one foot into Web2 and in real life communities, and balance both. So I think they both have so much value.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. So is that I mean, it's a lot, but is that the bulk of where your attention is in the IRL community space right now, is focused on this library opportunity and engaging with the music community, or the people who
artists who are also making music? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say those are kind of my two main areas right now. Outside of that, actually, something fun. I'm taking a course. I'm learning surface pattern design. So that's another area that I'm putting a lot of my intention into right now because I want to license out my work. Like my end goal as an artist is to be able to make content, help people, but also have time, financial, and location freedom. And for me, that's only going to come if I have passive income, right? Like if I'm making income. And one of the ways that a lot of artists, musicians, like any type of person, you can license out your work. And so that's something that I'm learning into. And like pattern design is essentially like, for example, like this agenda that I have, like an artist made this design. And now anytime this gets sold, an artist makes money off of this design because they're licensing it out to this company. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to learn how to do patterns right now. I'm taking a course and then learning how to pitch and license in the pattern industry. So I would say that's like another area that a lot of my intention is going to. It's not really in real life, but the course lets you meet a lot of Web 2 people, if that makes sense. Like I have a steady group. We meet every week. None of them are in Web 3, but they're dope people who make dope art. And it's like still an opportunity to connect and meet people. So yeah.
That's dope. Is that something you'll be sharing on your socials as well? I'd love to see a piece of that ride.
Yeah, I've been posting a little bit of sneak peeks of patterns like here and there as I'm making them. Like I posted, I think, one on my Instagram, and on Twitter I posted a few. I think I'm waiting to get more because I'm so early on. I think I'm waiting to get better at it. I can show you one right now. This is one I made. It's my lock screen.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
That is hot. Yo, I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
love the purple. Love, as you can see, we love the purple color.
Yeah.
Yeah, purple's my favorite color too.
That's cool.
Yeah, I definitely will be sharing more of it once I progress. I'm actually making a TikTok about it today about making patterns.
Oh,
so
dope.
you'll see that.
Okay, so we'll watch for that for sure then. And what about so we talked about IRL, Web3. What else is going on with you in the world of Web3 right now? I know it's with the bear market right now, everybody's kind of taking it slowly. Some people are hibernating, with the market. What are you doing in Web3 right now?
Yeah, right now I'm not actively building anything in Web3, but I wouldn't say I'm hibernating. I still like say my good mornings. I'm still connecting with people every single day, just like you guys. And I'm still I was like at a couple galleries at NFT NYC. So I guess I'm not actively working on anything, but I think I would say I'm passively working in Web3 right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess one thing that I can say without giving too much away, I'm doing a YouTube video involving a bunch of Web3 artists and AI. So that's something in the process I'm working on. And eventually the work that comes out of it, I want to mint it. So I would say that's like the one thing I'm working on with like a bunch of artists is like a little collab. But it's super early, so I don't want to say anything before like I've worked things out just yet. But that's one thing.
Yeah, we understand, but something to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely exciting. Last question about Web3. Do you have anything that's out right now or somewhere that people should go to find what you create, what you've minted, what's available from you?
Yeah, absolutely. So on my link tree, I have all of my links to my NFT collections. I have two right now that people can purchase. They're editioned collections. So one is on Tezos on Object called Surrender and Flow. And there's another one on the Flow blockchain. And it's about the 7 chakras. It's called the Wheel of Life. So those are my two that are available if anybody wants to like purchase and support in that way. But I would say like anything else like YouTube, I would love support on YouTube and TikTok. I'm trying to grow. So I would love people to just kind of check my YouTube out. Oh, you posted the link tree. Yeah. Thank you. So fast.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that has everything that people need to see. I also have a newsletter. So if anybody wants like cool discounts on like on my Etsy store or just like things that I'm working on, my newsletter will be giving that out, but that's all in the link tree. So
that's excellent. And we could probably ask you 1,000 more questions. I don't know if I want to do that because I'm known for over questioning people.
Well, before
uh-oh.
It's okay. I just spilled my water and all the excitement. But it's okay.
Well, before we go, I guess we'll ask, is there anything that you want to share about things you have coming up, where you'd like people to find you? And is there anything or any way that people can support you right now?
Yeah, I love that question. I would say definitely check out my YouTube, subscribe to YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Those are like my main 3 platforms, plus Twitter for Web3. That's where you can stay up to date with everything that I'm doing. And yeah, just I would love feedback on my work. I'm always open to feedback on work and videos and stuff. So that would be a great support.
Right. When you say feedback, what types of feedback would you enjoy? Because I know
Yeah.
sometimes when I ask people for feedback, they're just like, I don't know what to say.
I love to know feedback on like content that I'm making, if it's helpful or not. That's like a huge help, because sometimes you make things and you don't know if people are actually taking anything from it.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes there's a gap when you're like here, and maybe there's someone here who doesn't understand what you're doing, and you need to like bring your mind back to like certain terms that you were also learning, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. So I think feedback on like content is super helpful for me, just like when I'm creating my content. And also like art content, like when I'm making work and posting work, please don't post it publicly because it'll be sad for me. But send me a DM and be like, hey, this is great, but I think you could do this better. Blah, blah, blah. I'd love that.
That's dope. That's perfect. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, Saf. We appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us today. It was really great to actually meet you, and have a conversation with you. This is something that's really important to us this year, is to really connect with the people that we consider to be part of the HFR family. And I don't know if you've realized it or not, but we've considered you family since you two connected last year.
Aw, I love that. I definitely consider you guys family as well. And I really, again, want to express my gratitude for bringing me on and trusting me on enough to have me on your platform, and even allowing me to share a little bit about myself. It means a lot. And I'm just grateful to have you guys in my life and in my circle. So thank you.
Yes, same here. We're so grateful to have you. So excited to continue connecting, continue supporting. Maybe one day in the near future, we'll make it out to Canada for one of these events that you'll have. We'd love to support in that way. And we will pack for all kinds of weather.
You're not coming in April.
Right.
You're gonna have to.
But yeah, thank you so much. It's been so great to talk to you, get to hear more of your story and who you are as a person. You have such a wonderful spirit, and we look forward to continuing to connect with you and see how you just blossom.
Yay, likewise. I can't wait to see where HFR goes, guys. Seriously.
Thank you. We're
so
taking
much.
you with us.
Yeah, right. We're all going together. Well,
I
thank
love
you,
it.
guys. This has been HFR Connect. Today we connected with Saphera Peters. You can find her art. The links are here. You can check out her link tree, check out her YouTube, check out her Instagram and her TikTok and Twitter. Stay connected. Support systems and community are how we all make it together. And that is our wish for all of us, for success for all of us in a healthy and positive way. So I'm Yolanda Marie.
Shah, Dragon's Pitchfork.
And this has been Saphera Peters, aka Saf. And we will catch you in the next one. Peace, love, and all that good stuff.
Love.